Hi, everybody. Oh, it's a little late in the month then, isn't it? It's the 13th already, and I haven't done my tally yet, but the weather was so bad and so rainy and so bad, and that it does terrible things to my bones and joints. I was in so much pain and exhausted. It just zaps the energy right from me. But, January 19, JW broadcast, 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 15 seconds. They said Jehovah 36 times. That's only half of what they normally do. I mean, usually it's 70, 80 times. I mean, there was a record one of 100 and some times, 125 times, I think, in an hour. And I mean, that was unbelievable. But 36 times in a little over an hour, that's not very much. They said Jesus 3 times, Satan 4. They said Satan more than Jesus again. I can't believe they do that. But organization 8, faithful and discreet slave 4, the truth 3, Holy Spirit 4. They even mentioned once Babylon the Great, so I put that in there. I thought, well, how many times are they going to say that? But they only said it the once. Okay. Governing body 9. So governing body got second place to Jehovah, and then the organization. And that sad situation with Satan and Jesus again, you know. I just don't think that's right. That's not a good thing. I mean, come on, people, talk about Jesus. I mean, he's the whole basis of Christianity. But another thing I wanted to bring up, there's a person out there saying that apostates lie. Some might, I guess, but there's no point in doing that because the organization does that so well on its own. But they're telling people that that the organization is really good at telling people, their members, that if you leave the organization, you're leaving Jehovah, and that you have to return to Jehovah and come back to the organization. But they understand that the organization is not God. God is not the organization. For the fact of the matter is that God dwells within us. Jesus and God dwell within us. So, if you leave an organization, you don't give up being who you are. It's part of it's part of who you are. The amount of faith that you had will always be there. Some people don't follow the path with God when they get out. Many, many do. It's just part of who you are. I found that my faith and my depth of understanding who God and Jesus were increased tenfold when I left the organization. There were so many things I didn't understand inside, and when I got out and I wanted to understand, so I studied. Excuse me. I studied material not just from Watchtower, but all over, everywhere I could find material. Back then there was no internet, so I went to the library and I was ordering books from other libraries on subjects that I wanted to research and things that I wanted to look at, and I bought books. I bought, a great big huge Hebrew, Greek, English interlinear, and I compared that interlinear to the Kingdom interlinear and found amazing things that enlightened me. But I didn't, my path of following Jesus and my belief in God and everything didn't go away, it magnified. And all the studying that they do, well, they say they do all that studying. Jehovah's Witnesses don't do that studying. They have an understanding that Watchtower has done all that research for them. So they take it on as their own and say, oh no, we study all this. We look at all those. But they don't actually do it themselves. They believe that the organization has already done it for them. If you pin them down and say, well, did you actually research this, or did your organization research this? And then they'll have to admit it. So pin them down on that question, because it's a big difference if you actually do the research. Because when you go through all those other books and everything, then you find out exactly what it says, and you don't have to trust someone else just quoting it. It works a whole lot better that way. It really does. There is, like I say, there is no reason for so-called apostates to lie about Watchtower or anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, because they take care of all that themselves. You know, the reason people leave is that they actually found the truth about the truth. Because when you see, for instance, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine put up a video about a year ago with this quote in it they had from Watchtower, and they were trying to get somebody to answer. It was about koala bears, you know, some little article, you know, this little sentences they used to write in the Watchtower, these things that they'd find, these little gems, you know, they'd have it at the end of a story in there, right? At the end, they have these little information facts kind of thing, right? So one of them was about koala bears spanking their children when they were mad, you know, just because of the way their hands are or something. And they quoted a book from the 50s or something, and I was like, I'm going to look that up. So I got on the internet and I searched and found that book by the same person, the book of the same name, with the same article in it. So I got reading it. Watchtower had quoted them completely backwards from what the book actually said. Yes. Yeah. And I was like, wow. You know, I wonder if they got sued for that one too. I know that when they misquote people, they've been sued before. Maybe somebody out there would know exactly which one that was. I forget what it was. Something about a person that was claiming to be a evolutionist or something, that they portrayed them as being a creationist or something, and they sued them saying, hey, I never said that. Yeah, they got sued for that. But I've seen so many things that Watchtower has quoted from other material, from other books, but because Jehovah's Witnesses are told not to go to other sources outside and research, there's no way they would know. But if you actually look them up, like, oh my God, like some of the articles that you'll have, you know, they'll put a little verse down there with parentheses around it. And if you look up that verse and read it, that verse has nothing whatsoever to do with what they're talking about. And you're like, why did they put that verse there? You know? But in a study, they'll read the verse and go, oh, yeah, yeah. But it doesn't make any sense. You know? Doesn't have anything to do with the topic they're talking about. And you're like, what's that supposed to prove? Okay, the verse is in the Bible, yeah? But I don't know, people that are in and don't actually research the things on their own and just rely on the organization to have done it for them, Nah, doesn't work. So my advice is, if there's any Jehovah's Witnesses out there, when you're reading something, the internet is real easy to use. It's real easy to navigate. Even I can do it, so I know you can do it. Go in there and type in the book and by a certain person that they're quoting from, or anything that they're quoting from. Look it up and find out for sure if that quote is taken in context or if they reversed it for you. I have a feeling that within a couple of days you'll find a couple that they've completely blown out of the water that didn't mean what they wanted it to say, so Watchtower flipped it around. I've seen it over and over again, so I know that they do it. And I really think they're probably still doing it. But anyway, as far as apostates lying, no. There's no reason for any so-called apostate to lie about it, because the organization does such a wonderful job by itself. You know, that if you think lies are disgusting, it makes you leave the organization because they lie. So look it up. It's not apostates. I know some people would call me apostate, but I think that an organization that proclaims to be and go by the name The Truth should speak nothing but the truth. And when they start flipping things around and not quoting people right and doing all those things, it becomes not the truth. So look the things up. That's all I gotta say. Keep Watchtower on their toes. Don't let them get away with twisting things and lying to its members. Don't let them do it. They profess to be the truth, and let them be the truth. If you lie, then you're not. Plain and simple. Have a good weekend, you guys. Talk to you later.